Okay, next up is our six-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion. That's Jimmie Johnson, and he drives the number 48 Lowe's Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. Jimmie, first of all, maybe just a quick comment about being up at the White House this week and being recognized by the President of the United States.
And of course, a huge honor for myself and the team, and the fact that I was able to be there with my teammates to experience the tour and those few minutes that we had with the President was great. And honestly, we've moved on from the 2013 season and are heavy in the 2014 season. So it was a nice opportunity to reflect back, to bring back those memories, those feelings of accomplishment, and to share that moment with my crew guys. So and Mr. Hendrick was there, of course, and Chad for the first time after all these years. So just an awesome experience. And then to look out in the audience and see my daughter there, my wife, just a very cool experience.
Good deal. We'll take questions now for Jimmie. Okay, right there, and then Jeff Gluck.
Lee K. Howard, Lexington. Just to expand on that, I think he compared you to Michael Jordan. That's got to be a pretty good comparison. Talk about that.
Yeah, just a very surreal moment standing on stage next to him, hearing him reference me to, or compare me to Michael Jordan. With the 6 championships, I assume is where he was going with that, and hear our foundation mentioned, the hard work that we've put in there. So I didn't know what his speech would be, but to hear him go through and articulate with great detail, the things we've accomplished as a team on and off the track, what the foundation has done, I sat there with goosebumps head to toe just hearing all that stuff come out. It was pretty neat.
Let's go to Fred right here. Get him a microphone, please. Get him a microphone, Bonnie. I'm sorry.
Fred Cowgill with the CBS affiliate in Louisville, Kentucky. Just some thoughts about your season. You started, I hate to say slow, but there was a gap where you did not win. Then you get 3 wins. Some of the differences maybe between how you started the season and how things are going now and why.
Yeah, we've been learning this new package. We didn't get off to the start we wanted to at the start of the season. Even though we were slow, I really feel there were opportunities to win. And we had flat tires and various issues that kept us from going to victory lane. And starting in Charlotte, we didn't drop the ball. When we had a chance to win, we took advantage of it and got it done. We won a couple or 2 or 3 there pretty quick. And really, I feel like the last 6 we've been in, or 5 or 6, we've been in position to win. Pocono, I think we had a car plenty capable of winning the race, had the contact on pit lane, and kind of hurt our opportunity there. And then last week in Sonoma, we were one of the better cars on the track all day long, and on one of those restarts, some bumping and banging, bent the left front suspension on the car and slowed us down quite a bit. So I'm happy that the speed is there, and it's a little more consistent for us compared to especially the first quarter of the year. But more than anything, we're taking advantage of opportunity and been able to pull in a victory lane.
Let's go to Jeff, and then we'll go to Jim.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. Jimmie, the last time that a full field didn't show up for qualifying was 1996 at Dover. Today there's supposedly only going to be 42 cars here. Is that any cause for concern as a competitor, and what do you make of that not being a full field?
Yeah, I don't have any concern with it. And you compare our form of racing to others, we have double the field compared to a lot of other major auto racing series. I hate to see it, obviously. There's that prestige of having 43 since way back. So I'm disappointed on that front, but I don't think that it has any bearing on the strength of our sport. When I look at all the markers our sponsors look at and why they're partners on our race car, things are going in the right direction. So I don't think it's a real reflection of the strength of our sport, the strength of the competition on the track. Fact of the matter is, this is the top form of racing, in my mind, in the world, and some maybe just in North America, and it's not cheap. So I understand why there could be a short field, but there's no concern on my behalf.
Let's go to Jim Noble.
Jim Noble, ESPN. You know what it's like to feel like you can taste a championship. Even this early in the year, know that you're going to be a factor. Your teammate Dale Jr. has been pretty frisky behind the wheel the last couple of weeks. Do you think Junior feels that this year, that he understands that these opportunities sometimes are few and far between, and that he's really kind of up on the wheel this year because he can taste it even though it's early in the season?
You know, I haven't been around him in some of those friskier moments. It's hard for me to speak for him on track, but in a large respect, yes, he is taking advantage of opportunity. What he and Steve have built with the 88 team, you know, that we all know that the driver crew chief pairing is the most important part, and Steve and Junior have hit it off. And there's no guarantees that next year's crew chief is going to be able to connect with Junior and create the same speed in the car. So, you know, in theory, yeah, I'm sure he's trying to take advantage of opportunity. But sitting in meetings and being around him as close as I am with, you know, our situation with the 4888 in the same shop, I see a guy that knows his race car better than ever, and a guy that is focused on all the details, thoroughly involved, much more open in communicating on a far deeper level than I've seen him, you know, especially when he started at Hendrick Motorsports. So, and as you know, as my years go on, you know, teams slow down when the communication stops, and his team has gotten faster and faster, and he is more talkative and involved and engaged. Sits in meetings with notes, set up sheets. You know, he's really in the game. Yeah.
Let's go to the back, and then we'll go over here to Mark.
Jimmy, Kent Spencer, WHAS 11 in Louisville. With the new chase format, you know, there's so much more emphasis on winning races now than laying up. What's that been like for a driver where you're just trying to win races, and do you think that's made it for a better experience for the fans and better racing?
You know, inside the car, nothing has changed my approach. It might open up a door for some other teams, maybe teams that aren't in your big 4 or 5, you know, the Hendrick, Roush, Gibbs, you know, type organizations. But, you know, I firmly believe there won't be 16 different winners. So points still matter and would transfer into that first phase. You know, and I was saying that when we hadn't won a race, and I still believe it today, even after winning 3. I still think we'll get a couple guys in on points. But, and so that's very similar to what we've had in the past, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have a problem with that. I am excited to see how the conversation has changed, and so many people are talking about winning. You know, I think that's good for our sport. But as we work through the chase, you know, winning, I think, gets more important deeper into the chase than it ever has been. And then Homestead, I mean, we've never had that scenario before. We've never had 4 drivers with a chance to win the championship, let alone tied for the championship going into it. So as the season wears on, things will continue to heat up, and especially deep in the chase, it's going to be a pressure cooker.
Right here, Mark. Right here.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Jimmy, talk about how, explain to race fans, again, you guys come here, tracks wore out, you know, it's rough, you know, it bounces you all over the place, and then you say, God, we love it, don't touch it. And, you know, and race fans think you want, you know, glassy, smooth, and you know, that kind of thing. Describe this racetrack and why you guys like it so much.
Yeah, you know, the glassy, smooth tracks really give us one lane to race on, and with the speeds we're going, in order to pass a driver with one lane of racing surface to really utilize, you've got to be a half a second faster. And there really isn't a half a second worth of speed between any of the cars anymore. I mean, it's so well regulated through NASCAR, so competitive, that you're lucky to get a 10th, maybe 2 is as much as you get. So when you have a surface that throws the cars around, forces, you know, makes drivers make mistakes, it forces a second lane, a third lane. You know, I don't think we have a third lane really here, and a lot of it has to do with the grinding that's been done on the track. And last year I tried to explore outside the black and think about, you know, a 4th lane or some 3rd lane up, you know, near the wall, but the surface just won't allow it. So we've got a good couple of lanes from the 3/4 mark down on the racetrack that we can use, and the bumps make mistakes out of drivers. You know, they put us in situations where we blow it and open a door to get past or to look for an opportunity to pass someone.
With these cars now planted to the ground more than they were a year ago, I mean, are you going to get more of a jarring sense through these bumps that are going to hit you guys a little harder, a little more physical?
Yeah, I think so. We hadn't had ride quality issues at a lot of the tracks leading up to this point. with the old car, and we show up with the new car, and I'm like, man, that ride quality is terrible, but we're going so much faster and on and on. So, yeah, ride quality is definitely going to be compromised here today. Yeah.
We'll go to Mark, and then Chris, and then Fred. Go ahead, Mark.
Jimmie, I'm Mark Story from the Lexington Herald-Leader. I want to ask you about another one of your teammates. For Jeff, obviously, the 5th championship has proven elusive. How frustrated do you think he is by sort of the way the second half of his career's gone, and how does he handle that?
I don't know exactly. I mean, it's not something that we've spent time talking about, but I know that the speed's there. I know that the desire is there, and at least in the last few years, luck has really played a factor in him making the chase and his success in the chase. So, I feel like he is more than, I feel like a 5th championship's a real opportunity for him. And this year, this format could really be the one. I know it means a lot to him. I know it's what he wants. But as far as, his mindset and frustration or whatever it might be, this question was not all that sure. But I see a guy that loves his job, is highly committed to it in all of our meetings. He's got a spring in his step and ready to go racing.
Let's go Chris, Fred, and then Ken.
Chris Knight, NASCAR Weather Service. Jimmie, going back to the White House real quick, was there anything different from your prior experiences there that stood out in your mind that you experienced or saw or just?
Yeah, I've been there, not for all of our championships, but in general, they take the top 10, drivers that made the stage were able to go. So I've been on that tour and that trip, I don't know, 8 or 10 times. So you end up seeing the same stuff. They're only going to give you so much access to look around in the White House and only so many rooms you can go in. But and back to what I commented when I started, to have my team there was the difference. Before you're walking around with the other drivers, and it's a great experience and fun, but to actually share that moment and to watch the tour take place and all those fresh faces, that are my teammates, hear the story, meet the president, go through the different rooms, meet different Secret Service folks. They hosted a very nice lunch for us, and a private dining hall, which they said was the 2nd most famous dining hall in the world. The first would be the president's private space. So I mean, we were able to share and experience a lot of cool things together, and that really was the difference.
I'm going to try to get 3 more. We got Fred, Ken, and then Fox affiliate from Louisville. Go ahead.
Fred Calgill with WLKY TV. Just some thoughts about Kentucky. It's one of the few places you haven't won, but you've come close. There have only been 3 of them, I get that. But just some thoughts about getting close, not being able to close the deal. What's the difference maker for you to win at this racetrack, and why?
Yeah, we've been close. It's just that last run. Varying mistakes have, I think, kept us from going to victory lane. We've had a car capable of winning, I think 2 of them at least. I'm not sure about the 3rd. So it's just executing in that final run.
Let's go to Fox, and we're in the back. Go ahead.
Yeah, Joe Danneman, Fox in Cincinnati. Jimmie, you were pretty upset last year when you dominated this race, and then the restart at the end, you didn't win. As a guy who's accomplished as much as you have, does that stick with you as motivation a year later to come back here and finish?
Yeah, it is, and a lot's changed since then. Our restart procedure has changed, and there was a lot of cat and mouse games going on through last year, and that stuff has changed quite a bit now. So I'm happy with the rule changes, and certainly still today feel that the scenario and the games played there is what led to our issue down in turns 1 and 2.
Final question, back row.
Adam Wells, WPSD in Paducah. We're doing a story on your jack man, Andrew Childress. Can you talk about his importance to the team and how important it is for you to have a relationship with your team throughout the season?
Yeah, I mean, that's your guys, it's your group. They don't get the credit they deserve. Not only the guys that go over the wall, but everybody back at the shop. We go out there and look good in the race car and pull into victory lane. If you're fortunate enough to do that and smile and get all the accolades, but we're just a piece of the puzzle. And the way today's racing is, pit road is just as important as out on the racetrack and creates as many opportunities. So, and Andrew does an awesome job being the jackman of the 48 car. Not a ton of experience. He's in his second season of being the guy for us, and is doing a great job.
Thank you very much, Jimmie. Good luck this weekend.